Tonight, Zamfara State Governor asks residents to defend themselves following rising attacks and murder of 45 persons in Zurmi local government area of the state. Less than 48 hours after Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic attack, gunmen abduct family of 8 in Zaria, Kaduna State. Senior lawyer Femi Falano asked police authorities to apologize to protesters arrested on June 12 Democracy Day. And the Akwa Ibom State government celebrates delivery of 2 new commercial planes for Ibom Air in grand style. Plus, Israel's longest-serving leader Benjamin Netanyahu loses 12-year hold on power in new coalition by the opposition. We begin tonight from Zamfara State, where Governor Bello Matawalle has been speaking about his worries over the unending attacks and insecurity in his state. The governor says at least 45 persons were killed by bandits in Kadawa village in Zurmi local government area of the state. Apart from condoling with the families of the victims, the governor has asked residents to defend their communities. Meanwhile, police authorities in the state say they have repelled an armed robbery attack along Guso-Sokoto Road in Bakura local government area. The attackers were said to have attempted to rob unsuspecting commuters before the plan was foiled.
Some affected victims making their way out to a safe location owing to worsening insecurity. This time, Kadawa village in Zurmi local government area of Zamfara State is the latest to suffer from attacks by bandits that has left at least 45 people killed. It happened on the night of June the 10th till the early hours of June the 11th, a situation that has left victims, including women and children, stranded.
My dear people of Zamfara State,
Governor Bello Matawalle in the state broadcast says he's saddened in spite of his administration's peace and reconciliation efforts.
The marauders kill without regard for any rule of sanity. It is clear that some invincible hands are plotting evil against our people with the goal of making our state as terrifying as it is were in the years gone by. In this battle, no sacred cow whosoever is involved in this dastardly act, no matter how highly placed he is, he will be dealt with accordingly and according to the law of the land.
The governor vows to implement recommendations that should end banditry as soon as possible.
My administration has resolved to begin, and we have already begun implementing the recommendations of the MD Abubakar led Committee on Finding Solutions to Banditry in Zamfara State. As a next step in addressing this vexing problem, we will not spare anyone indicted by the committee's report, no matter how higher off they are.
The Zamfara State Police Command reassures residents of adequate security in spite of challenges.
What I'm appealing here is for members of the public to continue to collaborate with the police and other security agencies, and even including the state government through the Ministry for Security and Home Affairs, so that credible information on activities of criminal element can be obtained and then used appropriately in order to safeguard the lives and the properties of people of Zamfara State.
Notwithstanding Governor Bello Matawalle's appeal to the people to cooperate with security operatives, the state government will do well to address attacks by bandits going forward and help resettle victims back to their communities.
Meanwhile, bandits suspected to be kidnappers have again abducted 8 members of a family and 4 others in Zaria local government area of Kaduna State. The latest attacks come barely 48 hours after the attack on Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic, also in Zaria, where a student was killed, 8 students and 2 of the lecturers kidnapped. Witnesses say the bandits, who were in large numbers, invaded Kofra Gayan area of Zaria city when the residents were still sleeping. The bandits also attacked other houses within the area and kidnapped 4 other residents. From Kaduna to the nation's capital, Abuja, where 5 suspected kidnappers have also been arrested for allegedly kidnapping travelers along Tungan Maje, Buari and Kwali Kuje axis. The police spokesperson, Yusuf Miriam, says the suspects belonging to a notorious syndicate of kidnappers have confessed to their involvement in the recent abductions along the axis and in Niger State. Meanwhile, in Akwa Ibom State, a police officer has been killed during an attack by gunmen on Ini Divisional Station in Idurikpe area of the state. The state police command says the gunmen attacked the police station, shooting sporadically today. One of the gunmen, however, was arrested after the shootout, and the operational vehicle and 3 motorcycles were recovered. The police spokesperson says men of the Operation Restore Peace are still combing the area as hoodlums possibly escaped with bullet wounds sustained during the gun battle. And in Yobe State, the reconstruction and rehabilitation of schools burnt by Boko Haram insurgents in conflict areas has significantly increased enrollment in schools. The state governor, Mai Malabuni, says this action and prompt focus on education remains the priority of his government.
Buniyadi has continued to be the epicenter of Boko Haram destruction in Yobe State, with the massacre of over 40 students of the Federal Government College Buniyadi and College of Agriculture in 2012. Shuwari Primary School, also in the same community, was not left out of the attacks, and the headmaster of the school narrates the experience.
When they come and chase us from this Buniyadi, and when we come back, we don't have any place to sit, like classrooms. All was destroyed by that time. So by 2016, when we came back, honestly, our children and the teachers, we suffer because we don't have any place to sit and for learning condition.
The school is now wearing a new look as the United Nations Development Programme recently partnered with the state government to rehabilitate 5 blocks of classrooms, build toilets, as well as a perimeter fence after several years of destruction. And hope is not lost for Idris Abubakar, a primary 5 school pupil whose ambition is to become a pilot, while this widow seeks the establishment of adult education classes for women. The state government insists education remains its topmost priority, having earlier declared state of emergency on the education sector.
We found out that education sector requires a deliberate action, like the declaration of state of emergency, which is to say we have to recruit more teachers, retrain the trainable ones, and to improve the enrollment, which we did. You can imagine what would have been or how the situation was after almost over 10 years of Boko Haram insurgency.
The state government and development partners say they are determined to ensure stability and continuity of education in the areas affected by the insurgency, and the state government is promising to provide more infrastructure in the affected areas.
Staying with security, the Bishop of Anglican Church, Kaduna Diocese, Right Reverend Timothy Yahaya, has blamed the agitation for cessation on the marginalization and segregation of some sections of the country. Bishop Yahaya says the situation must be handled with caution in order to prevent plunging the country into crisis. The cleric further expresses concern that the unfortunate increase in the attacks on schools in remote communities in the northwest and in the northeast may pose a major setback in the development of education and in the future of young people who might be forced to drop out of school.
We have a problem. Let's acknowledge we have a problem and solve the problem. The world is becoming global today. So this issue of we want to leave is because there are problems in the current state of Nigeria. If those problems disappear, everybody will want to fly the flag of Nigeria and carry the green passport and say, I am a Nigerian. Our leaders should hear this very clearly. Don't pretend there is a problem in Nigeria. A problem of marginalization, a problem of oppression, a problem of segregation, a problem of religious difference is a reality. People don't think like Nigerians first. They think the region they come from, they think their ethnic difference, they think by their action and their body language. So we should tell ourselves the truth. Cessationists are calling for cessation because there is injustice at the center. This country cannot run schools. So for me, the Safe School Initiative, I pray the National Assembly to be up and do it. The monies we learn now were released for Safe School Initiative. Where is the money? Why are the schools not safe? It is only in Nigeria that you budget school for safe school initiative and the school become unsafe.
Two crime stories now. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, have arrested a ride-hailing driver and two other traffickers with different quantities of cocaine at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. The Uber driver, Lawal Rashid, was arrested at the Sako export shed of the MMIA on June 8, 2021, when he brought a consignment from his client to a freight forwarder for export to Malabo in Equatorial Guinea. NDLEA spokesperson Mr. Femi Babafemi said in a statement that when the package was searched, 150 grams of cocaine concealed inside 2 pieces of air freshener were discovered. Mr. Babafemi says after a follow-up operation, one Egba Maduka was also arrested for the trafficking attempt. Also on June 11th, a male passenger, Udogu James Johnson, on a flight to Brazil, was arrested at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos with 9 wraps of cocaine that weigh 300 grams concealed in his underwear. A 27-year-old final-year petroleum engineering student of Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University in Bauchi State, Ali Muhammad, was also arrested with 3.032 kilograms of cannabis sativa at a motor park in Ido, Lagos, following a tip-off. Perceived feelings of marginalization in the southeast will be largely assuaged if the region produces Nigeria's next president. The view of the Minister of Labour and Productivity, Dr. Chris Ngige. He told Channel Television's Ladi Akeredolale on our current affairs program Newsnight that the 1995 constitution, produced by the late General Sani Abacha's administration, would have been better suited for Nigeria's current situation. That document made provisions for rotational presidency and multiple vice presidents, among others.
The people in the area have perceived that they are marginalized, that they are unwanted. Whether it was done by propaganda and brainwashing or not is now immaterial. So I agree with that proposal. Unfortunately, the Nigerian constitution doesn't have it. That is where I quarrel with those who authored the 1999 constitution. I still believe today, tomorrow, that the Abacha constitution, 1995, that espoused rotational presidency into the 6 zones in Nigeria, with single 5-year tenure, in order to heal all the wounds of the war, civil war, and the wound of June 12. That constitution will have been the best constitution for Nigeria to use for the next 30 years, by which the 6 zones will have tested the presidency 6 times 5, 30.
You can hear more on Dr. Ngige's thoughts on Newsnight. It airs tomorrow, Monday, June 14th, 2021, right here on Channel Television at 9 p.m. In part 2 after the break, senior lawyer Femi Falana asked police authorities to apologize to protesters arrested on June 12 Democracy Day. Plus, We'll look at moves to deepen Nigeria's democracy. Our data analyst, Babajide Ogusawo, will be our guide. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Zamfara State Governor asked residents to defend themselves following rising attacks and murder of 45 persons in Zurmi local government area of the state. Less than 48 hours after Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic attack, government abducts family of 8 in Zaria local government area and 4 family members are rescued. Senior lawyer Femi Falana asked police authorities to apologize to protesters arrested on June 12 Democracy Day. Akwa Ibom State government celebrates delivery of 2 new commercial planes for Ibom Air in grand style. And Israel's longest-serving leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, loses 12-year hold on power, a new coalition by the opposition. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, is asking the Nigeria police to apologize to protesters who were arrested during the June 12 nationwide protest yesterday. Mr. Falana, who is the interim chair of the Alliance on Surviving COVID-19 and Beyond, accuses the police of violating the fundamental rights of expression of the protesters. Mr. Falana said in a statement which reads in part, "The police should learn to respect the constitutional rights of protesters. It is uncivilized for the police to be chasing and attacking unarmed protesters on the streets as if these citizens were criminals." He, however, commends the protesters for conducting themselves in a mature and peaceful manner. Mr. Falana also condemned the explanation of the police that the tear gas shots were to prevent hoodlums and miscreants from hijacking the peaceful rallies, adding that there are lessons to learn from the incident, which he describes as unfortunate. The rights activist wants future protesters to inform the police ahead of their action as demanded by law. Meanwhile, the Force Public Relations Officer, Frank Mba, says no protester is currently in detention.
We had an isolated case in Abuja where some of the protesters became unruly, and in line with international best practice, the police fired tear gas at them. And that is an acceptable mode of engaging violent protesters anywhere in the world, whether it's in Abuja, whether it's in Lagos, whether it's in Paris, whether it's in London or New York or California or Moscow. That is internationally accepted. We would have problems if we have fired live bullets at them, but when you fire tear gas at protesters to disperse them, you are not in breach of any known code, either nationally or internationally.
No country has a perfect democracy. No country has a perfect government. Democracy is a journey of improvement. So how much has Nigeria's democracy improved, and what are the imperfections, and how can these imperfections be removed? Babajide Ogusawo is the man with the answers. He's our data scientist and information consultant, and he's here to share insights on the deepening of democracy in Nigeria.
I've got more questions than answers tonight.
Let's hope you can answer them. So let's begin with the first one that I have, which is, before we discuss how to improve security, of course, the quality of democracy that we're already experiencing, do you want to share any insights from the president's national broadcast yesterday?
I'd like to start tonight. Yes, I will. But I'd like to start from a slightly different perspective, and that's with this, the mirror. You know, it's almost 2 centuries that the German scientist invented the mirror, Justus von Liebig. And the mirror means a lot to different people. And that's because when you wake up, your friends can lie to you about how you look. You may lie to yourself about how you look. But the flat mirror will never lie to you. Tonight, I'd like to put Nigeria's democracy in front of a flat mirror. And this mirror will be the people. And I'll do that later tonight. But you talked about the president's speech. For me, three things stand out the most in the president's speech. The first is this was the president's slowest reading speech. What do I mean? In this speech, the president read at approximately 88 words per minute, his slowest. In 2016, we had seen the president read as much as 100 words per minute. What are the implications and what are the causes for the president reading his slowest speech, slowest Democracy Day speech yet? I'll share that some other day. But the second insight is it was Democracy Day, but this speech was not just about the state of democracy. It was more about the state of government, the state of governance. The president talked about democracy, but he also talked about security, he talked about infrastructure, and he talked about the economy. Third and final for me, which is the most important, is that, Amarachi, this was the first Democracy Day speech that the president did not use the word corruption. In all of his previous Democracy Day speeches, the president uses the word corruption at least 2 times in each speech. This speech, the president didn't mention anything about corruption. That gives you an inclination of what he's thinking and what he is no longer thinking about.
How significant is that anyway?
The significance is the government came in with 3 promises. Security, which is also mentioned in this speech, the economy, which is also mentioned in this speech, but this time around, no mention on corruption. Why hasn't he mentioned it, and what are the reasons? I think the president's handlers will probably be able to give more reasons, or perhaps the speechwriter of the president. But in all, it was a speech about the state of governance more than the state of only democracy.
Okay, I have more questions, and there are many of them running through my mind right now, but I'm just going to stick to, the ones that we can answer tonight, of course. So maybe we should start taking a look at that mirror, because the question I'm going to ask is how leaders can improve the quality of democracy that we are experiencing.
And how can leaders improve the quality of democracy? And it's about focusing on the perception of democracy as reported by the people. And a group called from the Freedom House, Alliance of Democracies and Lantana, did a research this year in Nigeria, and not only in Nigeria, across more than 50 countries, about how citizens perceive democracy. In Nigeria, these are the results. 84% of Nigerians have the opinion that democracy is important to them. But here's the challenge. Only 31% think that a country is democratic. This survey was conducted with a representative sample size of Nigerians with a margin of error of plus or 3%. The summary from this sample is that majority of Nigerians believe in democracy, but majority of Nigerians believe that the country is not yet fully democratic. That is the challenge today, and that is how Nigerians perceive democracy. The challenge for leaders now will be to look at this mirror, the mirror that Nigerians speak about democracy, and then look at what are the reasons why Nigeria is rated. Based on the citizens' feedback, Nigeria is not democratic.
So democracy is important to all of us anyway, because the right to, our rights and our freedoms have to be protected, and that can only be done under a democratic system. But it appears to be also very important to people outside of Nigeria, those who are watching, looking from the outside in, especially foreign institutions who have rated the country a hybrid regime. Why so?
And it speaks, again, there are 2 steps. First is we've looked at how the Nigerians perceive Nigeria, especially from that mirror of democracy that is flat and wouldn't lie. Your second question talks about why have Nigerians rated the country that way? And if we take a look at the Democratic Perception Survey on why Nigeria is rated by the Economic Intelligence Unit as having a hybrid regime, and why even research done by Lantana shows that Nigeria is less free Even South Africa is rated as free. The question then is, what should leaders do? And what leaders should do is leaders should look at the reasons Nigerians are giving as to why the country is rated that way. And here are the top 3 reasons, and these reasons also speak to the solutions. The first reason why Nigeria is ranked as a hybrid regime and also ranked as less free is because of unfair or fraudulent elections. Unfair or fraudulent elections, 84% agree that unfair or fraudulent elections is a threat to democracy in Nigeria. 82% of Nigerians agree that economic inequality is a threat to democracy in Nigeria. And 76% of Nigerians agree that limits on free speech is a threat to democracy in Nigeria. In South Africa...
That third one actually really sticks out, especially with recent events, right?
With recent events. And South Africa is rated as a free nation when it comes to democracy. And the evidence shows that the reason why South Africa is rated free and Nigeria less free is South Africa is performing better when it comes to perceptions on unfair or fraudulent elections. South Africa is performing better when it comes to economic inequality. And South Africa is performing better when it comes to limits on freedom of speech. In other words, if Nigeria wants to deepen its democracy, though there are several things we need to look at, the top 3 things that stand out as priority is that we need to make sure that our elections are not perceived as fraudulent, which means our elections have to be more transparent. There has to be lower economic inequality, and there has to be more degrees of freedom on speech.
And you're speaking about elections right now. You know, you've had leaders say, okay, if you don't like the government, then change it at the next elections. But are elections the only way to achieving democracy?
Elections are about the majority. And at the moment, elections is perhaps the biggest way. But let's not forget that it is not the voting that counts. It is the counting that matters the most. And Nigerians currently feel that they don't count, and so their votes do not count, and so they are not even turning up to vote. And the challenge we face today is that since 2003, those who are eligible to vote, those that are above 18 and above, have consistently stayed back at home. In 2003, 59% of those who were eligible to vote turned out on election day to vote. But since 2003, Amarachi, those who are eligible continue to stay at home. In 2019, saw the worst performance of voter turnout when you look at those who are eligible to vote and those who came out to vote. Only 27% of those eligible to vote came out to vote during the presidential election. Why did this happen? Again, it happened because people perceive that they do not count. And because they feel they do not count, they feel their votes do not count. And when people feel their votes do not count, then they also feel that the government no longer counts to them. And that is the challenge we face today.
And hopefully the government has looked into the mirror sitting right in front of you.
In the final analysis, everybody needs to look at the mirror because friends might lie to you, you might lie to yourself, but we need to keep putting the democracy that we have today, we need to keep putting Nigeria in front of the mirror. And when we put Nigeria in front of the mirror, then we'll really see the true situation of things.
We'll leave it at that. Babajide, always a pleasure having you here on the News at 10.
The pleasure is all mine, Amarachi.
Still ahead on the News at 10, a ban on microblogging site Twitter continues to generate controversy. We look at the implications of the ban, particularly those bearing the brunt. Stay with us. Welcome back to the News at 10. We're in the southeast now, where Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma says the state government will set up a commission of inquiry to look into the remote causes of unwarranted killings, burning of police stations and public property in the state. According to him, the commission of inquiry is expected to carry out thorough investigation and come up with far-reaching recommendations that will be implemented by the state government to relieve people of their fears and bring lasting peace to Imo State. Our correspondent, Eyitope reports.
It's a critical stakeholders meeting at the banquet hall of the Governing House, Owerri. The meeting, which is at the instance of Governor Hope Uzodimma, has in attendance religious leaders, security chiefs in the state, members of the judiciary, past and present state and federal lawmakers, as well as past and present political appointees in the state. According to the governor, Imo State is now safe, peaceful, and ready for normal business activities as the security challenges faced in the state in recent times is now a thing of the past.
The report from the security agencies has confirmed that Imo is now safe for both night activities and day activities. I will also use this opportunity to inform you that in the course of making sure that our people are not vulnerable, that the damage on the life and property of our people is not going to be grievous.
He assures the people that the state government, working closely with security operatives, will continue to preserve and protect the peace now enjoyed in the state, with a commission of inquiry already set up to investigate the remote causes of the security breaches.
That committee will go into a thorough investigation and come up with far-reaching recommendations, and I'm very convinced that government will implement their recommendations to assuage the feelings of our people and bring lasting peace.
Meanwhile, the former governor of Imo State, Ikedi Hakim, commends the government and security agencies for their commitment in bringing peace back to the state.
You have led well. You are leading well. Your Excellency, if you look at the sea of leaders of Imo State that are here present, that will show you that Imo people are with you 100%.
With the promises from the leaders, residents of the state are waiting anxious for government and security operatives to match words with action to ensure that the peace that Imo people enjoys now after weeks of terror will be sustained. Eyitope, Channels Television News.
The Akwa Ibom State government has acquired 2 new planes, Airbus A220-300 series, as part of its plans to expand into the regional West African market. A large number of Akwa Ibom residents and other prominent Nigerians today gathered at the Victor Atta International Airport in Uyo, the state capital, to witness the reception of 2 brand new Airbuses as the latest addition to the fleet of the state-run Ibom Air.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Udom Emmanuel.
Governor Udom Emmanuel, flanked by his colleagues from Sokoto and Adamawa, arrived at the venue of the event. The guests watched the brand new Airbus A220-300 series taxis through the water fountains at the Victor Atta International Airport, a tradition in the aviation industry to announce the arrival of new aircraft. Governor Umaru Fintiri of Adamawa State is one of the governors here to support the Akwa Ibom State government. He gives his goodwill message.
The history that is being made by our brother, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, in growing the aviation industry and by extension unlocking the already locked economy of this country. This is one airline that has been growing from number to number and by strength to strength.
The governor of Akwa Ibom speaks about the vision of starting the first state-owned airline in Nigeria. He says the state will have a full-serviced airport.
This big eagle you're seeing here, we are going into a major business arrangement that will see this big bird, 10 berthing within a short period before I leave office. Ibom A is owned 100% by Akwa Ibom State government.
Governor Aminu Tambuwal commends the Akwa Ibom State government on this special occasion.
Since the inception of this administration, they have been talking about national career, national career, national career. We have not seen even a local government career. What we are witnessing today is a further consolidation of the efforts of our brother, PDP governor, who has been elected on the platform of our party, doing very well for the people of Akwa Ibom State, and even taking the bar higher, delving and going into aviation sector, and proving Nigerians that this can be done. And a PDP governor is doing that.
The host governor and his invited guests move ahead to commission the new aircraft.
To the glory of God Almighty.
The Ibom Air launched its maiden flight in June 2019 and has been flying local routes. With these new planes, the airline plans to expand its operation beyond the Nigerian domestic markets.
As the controversy over the suspension of microblogging site Twitter by the federal government continues, Nigerians have been counting their losses. While some have lost revenue in business, others believe a part of their social existence has been ripped off. In this next report, our technology correspondent Victor Matthias takes a look at the impact of the suspension on Nigerians.
Twitter, a social media platform that has been used for so many things, ranging from crowdsourcing pro bono lawyers for people in distress and finding missing persons to raising capital and tuition for many, was last week suspended by the federal government after a tweet by President Muhammadu Buhari was deleted from the platform. Some Nigerians say the absence of the platform from the Nigerian cyberspace has caused so much damage in various aspects of their lives.
We find that the international clients now are saying, let's just watch and see, let's just wait for a while. We had a client from the UK who pulled out of working with us. They just called us yesterday that they were pulling out of the campaign, and that's 16.6 million in a 3 to 6 month stretch of campaign.
Twitter is a place where a lot of people make their ends meet every day. Twitter is the place where people connect. Twitter is a place where we crowdfund for people's health, where we crowdfund for people going to school abroad. Twitter is a place where we come around and help ourselves. And really, I don't know how to process it.
Ikemesit Efyong is a researcher at SBM Intelligence. He gives us a picture of how much is being lost on an hourly basis as the suspension lasts.
I've seen estimates that put, that loss at something on the order of $200,000 an hour. Because again, a lot of online transactions are peer-to-peer, and so people communicating in their direct messages, in private conversations, again facilitated by these platforms, but really away from the public eye of regulators.
Though some Nigerians have, against the warning by the federal government, downloaded virtual private networks to circumvent the system, the dangers therein is not lost on many.
I know firsthand that VPN is not safe. With VPN, you give too much access to your data on your phone. It could mean that they'll clear out your bank. I've started hearing that already, that they're clearing out people's bank accounts. And I know that it could be the access, because now it's increased. So having VPN on your phone so that you can access Twitter is not exactly a safe route to go.
While many may have expressed displeasure over the suspension of Twitter operations, some believe that as a business operating in Nigeria, it must be subject to local laws.
It wasn't based on any known law in Nigeria. If they were angry that the president's ego was bruised, or if they were, asking that now the IPOB leaders' account be taken off, there is already a process for that. Other countries have done it.
Twitter Spaces is an alternative broadcast platform. And so therefore, under number 66 of the Constitution, part 2, second schedule, part 1, number 66, it should fall under the regulatory purview of the Nigerian legislature. So
the suspension may be taking its toll on Nigerians, but the federal government, despite several calls from various quarters,
remains adamant that certain measures have to be in place before it rescinds its decision. Victor Matthias, Channels Television News.
Health issues now. The outbreak of cholera was officially declared in Bauchi State by the Ministry of Health on March 25th this year. And since then, the disease has been spreading rapidly. The disease has so far claimed 37 lives and more than 1,700 people have been infected in 15 local government areas of the state. The worst-hit local government area is Bauchi. And our correspondent, Hajira Aliyu, visits the Central Treatment Facility for Situation Report.
Patients are rushed in exhausted, weak and sometimes unconscious from excessive vomiting, diarrhea and fever into the makeshift cholera treatment center at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital, Bauchi. Decontamination is done immediately, while family members wait patiently outside for news about their loved ones. Cholera is fatal, but can be treated easily.
The day before yesterday we have 85, yesterday we have 91, today we have about 150 cases today. So, and the bed capacity is only 75. So we are managing patients on the floor. In children, there are about 4 or 5 on the bed, they are small children. And our concern is that the number of children that are coming for this outbreak is alarming. In the last epidemic, we have adults. This one, we have children. Over 65% of the children in the world are children. And that is really big concern. Even less than 1 year, we're having many cases now.
Inside the overstretched facility are busy staff attending to patients who are either recovering or in critical condition. Not less than 35 staff work here on a shift. Doctors Without Borders is assisting the state to manage cases. Poor hygiene and contaminated water has allowed the disease to thrive. Bauchi local government area alone accounts for 70% of the cases, with the disease said to have claimed 37 lives in the state as of Saturday, June the 12th. Adamu Musa lost his 5-year-old son to cholera, while Mr. Jibrin survived, but lost his granddaughter after 4 members of his family got infected.
All my joints, they are very weak. Even I cannot go to toilet until they take me. I just give up. I just give up. I say, this is my last decision. Because I didn't have any, since my life, I don't have any such disease like that.
Meanwhile, some primary healthcare centers have been equipped to attend to cases.
One of the quick responses to cholera outbreak in Bauchi State is the establishment of the oral rehydration points. 10 points have so far been established in Bauchi Metropolis. That's in wards which have reported highest number of cases. This is one of the points here at Teshambabe Primary Healthcare Center. Inside here is the oral rehydration solution for cholera patients.
We have managed about 56 patients here in this center. Fortunately, today we don't have any patient, and this is one of the centers in the LGA. And what we normally do here is to manage patients that presented with the milder form of the disease with the oral dehydration solution, based on their age and based on their weight. And then we observe them for 4 hours. Then we discharge them if they don't have any problem. But in the event they presented with a severe form, we refer them to the teaching hospital where they will manage appropriately.
While the state plans to open more treatment centers, it is imperative to take more aggressive steps in containing the spread and deploy vaccines as quickly as possible before the situation gets out of hand. Hajira Aliyu, Channels Television News.
Medical conditions now keeping a loaded backpack about 10 to 15% of the carrier's body weight and using both straps, which should be wide and padded instead of slinging on one shoulder, are some tips that medical experts are advising users to follow to prevent pain. A physiotherapist and an orthopedic surgeon at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital says pain is mostly reversible. A good reason adjustments must be made early.
The backpack, useful for carrying some of the weight of materials required for day-to-day function, has become more common in recent years. From little school children lugging books, water bottles and lunch packs to adolescents and adults also shouldering their books, laptops and other devices. These bags vary in design and size. Those who use the backpack include convenience on the list of reasons for choosing it over other bags.
Then I have more things I'm doing, so I carried more things. So this is the side of the bag that would carry what I need for today.
Once I flick on one shoulder, it makes me walk faster than when I'm carrying it with both hands.
Putting at the back sometimes weakens you, but it's better, more easier for you to put at the back, more convenient.
Like most things, a backpack comes with rules for optimal use and safety. Studies, including one in the June 2016 issue of the Spine Journal, found a link between heavy backpack use, in particular carrying time, and pain. The Italian study covered 5,318 Italian students aged 6 to 19 years. It was discovered that more than 60% of the students had backpack-related pain. The study also found girls had more frequent and intense pain compared with boys. However, in a study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine in 2018, the researchers found no convincing evidence to suggest a link between aspects of backpack use and back pain in these age groups. They did find, however, that there was some evidence that the perception of heaviness is associated with back pain. At the University of Benin Teaching Hospital in Benin City, the Edo State capital, a physiotherapist shares what experience has shown.
We've seen cases of younger ones presenting with back pain, not just back pain, presenting with upper back connected to their neck region, mid back, and the low back as a result of heavy backpack, carrying heavy backpack. A lot of younger ones these days, especially those in the tertiary institution, see them throw one bag, a lot of laptop is inside, textbooks are inside. You are putting strain on the muscles.
Another expert in the Department of Orthopedics takes the explanation further.
Now, generally, we recommend that the percentage weights of backpacks for people to use should not be more than 15%, perhaps 10%. There's a tendency for problems to be associated with the use of heavy backpacks, depending on how frequently such a user uses the backpack. The more frequently he uses it, if it's heavy, and the longer the duration he uses it.
He uses a model as well.
It's not advisable to let the backpack hang so low down the back. It should come preferably at the level of the hips, and this should be well strapped to the body so that it's closer to the core of the body. As you should reduce the straps so that it's closer to the core of the body so that it's easier to control. In addition to that, you can put the heavier items in closer to the body, where the muscles of the body can control better, and put the lighter items.
Whatever side of the argument one chooses, experts believe that one can never start too early or be undecided when it comes to taking care of one's body. Jessica Olubuse, Channels Television News.
Marriage and family are key structures in many societies. To explore this, the Rose of Sharon Glorious Ministry International hosted youths on another edition of the University of Marriage Conference, focused on premarital exposition as well as practical knowledge about courtship and marriage.
Questions about what to do with one's life seem to plague many young adults. And for some, getting married is a part of their answer. Every year, the Rose of Sharon Glorious Ministry International employs its University of Marriage Conference to define the parameters of courtship, marriage, and everything in between. The convener, Apostle Folorunsho Alakija, who joins the conference virtually, highlights qualities singles should look out for before choosing a spouse.
In Matthew 19:5, the Bible says, "For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." An understanding of this truth will make a couple's marriage very successful. Maybe the first one I would like to look at is spirituality, because that would speak volumes. What kind of person is this person?
One of the guest speakers, Pastor Olufunto Ajegbe, shares similar views on factors that make for a successful marriage.
So you must learn to tolerate one another, then be patient, be stable emotionally. Then, as a lady, you must love the Lord. If you don't love the Lord, you will not be able to obey your husband.
It is not enough for one. It takes two or more. These words are echoed by Pastor Yemi Davids of the Global Impact Church, who harps on the power of collaboration.
The devil knows that when a people are together, they will make progress. So the enemy fights marriages a whole lot. And for all our singles, it's not just a social contract, it's a spiritual contract.
The testimonies of some participants indicate that the annual Singles Conference has positively impacted them.
I believe this is a time where I need to buckle up, I need to learn more, attend meetings like this, learn more, and, prepare ahead.
The Rose of Sharon Ministry hopes to continue to use this platform to empower young adults as they embark on the journey to finding their soulmate.
On the foreign scene, Israel's longest-serving leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, has lost his position following confirmation in parliament of a new coalition government. The country's new Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, has been sworn in, leading a government of change. Bennett will be Prime Minister until September 2023 as part of a power-sharing deal. In the meantime, G7 leaders meeting in Cornwall in the UK have pledged 1 billion vaccine doses to poor countries as a big step towards vaccinating the world. The announcement was made by Prime Minister Boris Johnson at the end of the meeting. He said vaccinating the world would show the benefits of the G7 democratic values. There was also a pledge to wipe out their contribution to climate change. Raheem Sterling ignited England's Euro 2020 campaign as the Manchester City forward's clinical finish sealed a 1-0 win against Croatia in the Group D opener. Gareth Southgate's side was struggling to break down Croatia until Sterling struck in the second half at sun-baked Wembley. Elsewhere, substitutes Michael Gregoric and Marko Arnautovic scored late goals as Austria sealed a 3-1 victory over major tournament debutants North Macedonia in their Group C opener at Euro 2020. Austria next visit the Dutch on Thursday, while North Macedonia stay in the Romanian capital city to face Ukraine. And the main news again. The governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawalle, asked residents of the state to defend themselves against attacks by bandits. His advice followed Friday's murder of 45 persons in Zurmi local government area of the state. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night and stay safe.